What is going on, guys? It is Friday, September 18th, 2020. It's your third hour government class, which means you probably only have one more class after this, and it's the weekend. So, let's get through this, all right? We got an easy day again. Hopefully it's not too long. Trying to cut them down a little bit shorter for you guys. Get you to that party a little bit quicker today. Here's what we got. We are going to talk about some characteristics of democratic governments today. We've been talking about democracies left and right, how they compare with dictatorships, indirect democracies, direct democracies, republics, all those things. We're going to finish it up, put a nice little bow on democracies today. Then we're going to start talking about maybe one of the most important, if not the most important document ever written in American history. I mean, the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, those are the two major important documents. Don't know which one's one, which one's two, but I can tell you this one is super important. We're going to talk about that today and for the next few classes, actually. After that, I'm sorry. I got to quiz you. I got to see how you're doing, all right? Got to give you the quiz, see how you're doing on these weekly review quizzes, see if you're picking up everything I'm putting down. Should be easy if you've been paying attention, though. We are going to do a 5-minute review, kind of, before your quiz. I'm not really going to give you the review today, guys. I'm going to let you pause. I'm going to tell you a few things that you might want to be on the lookout for. Huh? Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Maybe you pay attention to it, maybe not. But I'm going to give you a few tips, if you will, and then we're just going to take the quiz. I will give you today's assignment and the attendance question at the end of the video, as always. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get right on into class, the characteristics of a democratic government. And what you're going to need is this dang piece of paper that we've been going back and forth with. This puppy right here. All right, our Democracy Review Note Sheet. When we started talking about, other side, direct democracies, indirect democracies, we're now going to fill out this bottom portion, all right? The characteristics of democratic governments. We've said characteristics are defining things, so how would you describe it? We're going to describe what democratic governments, including our own, look like. So go ahead. If you don't have that piece of paper out, hit the pause button, go get it. If you do, let's go ahead and turn it on over to those Cornell notes. All right, guys. So, characteristics of a democratic government. I'm going to be giving you 5 of them today. Make sure you leave enough room on this note sheet, right, small enough for 5 different characteristics. I'm going to explain each one to you as well. The first, as you can see already over my shoulder, is that a characteristic of a democratic government, you can't start without saying people have the power. If you have a government that says it's a democracy and the people don't have the power, it's not a democracy. It is not a democratic government. And there's a specific term for this. I believe it's a vocab word, but we're going to put it in red because anytime I put something in red, we know that's important. The word is actually 2 words. It's called popular, because people, if you're popular, people like you, right? And then let's see if you can guess the second word. What does it mean to have power? What's a word that we know that has to do with having power over maybe a certain area? Well, some of you are thinking about it. Maybe you don't want to say it because you don't know how to pronounce it. Sovereignty. Popular sovereignty. And remember, it's all spelled funny. Sovereignty. Just like that. Popular sovereignty. That is a huge characteristic of a democratic government. It means people have the power. Just think about it. Like we said, you're popular if people know who you are. You have power over a certain area, that's sovereignty. Put them together, popular sovereignty. That is a huge characteristic of a democratic government. People have the power over their area. Let's move on to the second. All right, the next characteristic of a democratic government is free elections. And that's basically 3 things. The first is very important. We call it one person, one vote. Now I want you to ask yourselves a question here, or I'll ask it to you. You think of an answer. Who gets more votes for the president in our country? Me, Mr. Weckbaugh, just some random guy in Arizona, just a high school teacher, or Donald Trump, the president of the United States? Who gets more votes when it comes to voting for president? Any guesses? Correct answer is neither. We both get one vote. And that's part of a free election, is that everybody that is registered and able to vote, all of their votes count the same. That means if you're registered to vote right now, if you meet all the criteria and you're registered, your vote counts as much as I do. I know all the things about government. Everything I know. You're just learning. Your vote still counts as much as mine. One person, one vote is what we call that. There's no imbalance of power where one person's vote is worth 20. Everybody, one person, one vote. The next is something called a secret ballot. And a ballot is what you vote on, or who you vote for, or what you vote for. Key term here is secret. That means you don't have to tell anybody who you voted for, and no one will ever find out without you telling them. It is a secret ballot. The reason we have that is so that you don't have to feel pressured into voting for someone or something. You can just vote how you feel right here in your heart and in your head. It's a secret. No matter what people are saying around you, you get to vote how you want. And then finally, the third one is that candidates, a candidate is somebody running for office, so running for the presidency, running to be a senator, somebody who's running for an office, a mayor, a governor, they get to express their views freely. Now, you may not think that's a big one, but it is, because in some countries that claim to be democracies, they don't allow candidates to express themselves freely. A lot of times you'll see candidates saying, I think we should do this and this and this, and then all of a sudden, the candidate ends up in jail, or even worse, dead. That is not a democracy. We are very lucky here in America. You can say whatever you want and express your views freely, for good or for bad. Maybe you want to say some really crazy things. I'm not going to say any names, but maybe there's been some people who have said some really crazy things in the past. They're allowed to do that without fear of having to go to jail or lose their lives or be punished. They are just allowed to say what they want. And that is a very important part of free elections. Let's move on to the next one. The third characteristic of a democratic government is something we call individual liberty. Now, individual, you know what that means. It means single, for you, an individual. But what does that word liberty mean? We have a Statue of Liberty in New York, New Jersey, technically. But in that harbor there, what does the Statue of Liberty represent? Any guesses? Did you say freedom? Of course, you cannot have a democratic government without freedom. The people have to be free. And basically, we're saying that all people have rights. Not just the rich, not just the powerful, but everybody from the top down. If you recall, there was a guy who came up with social contract theory, John Locke, who called these, do you remember what he called these rights? They're called natural rights. And he referred to natural rights as life, liberty, and property. Those were the three. Basically, individual liberty means freedom, but also the fundamental belief in the equality of all citizens. There is not one person who is more equal than someone else. Everyone is equal. No one is better than one another. No one has more rights than another. We all have the same exact freedoms, the same exact equality. Our fourth, that's a long one, all in red up there, is majority rule with minority rights. Now, simply put, what does this mean? As a kid, did you and your friends ever try to figure out what to do on a Friday night? And there were 5 of you, and 3 of you said, I want to see a movie. And 2 of you said, I want to go to the library. And you all looked at each other and said, well, majority rules, we're going to the movies. Kind of the same thing here. Majority rule means a willingness to compromise for the common good. Meaning, if the majority of the people want to do something, you do that thing. That is a huge part of a democratic government. If the majority of the country believes in something or votes for someone, then you normally go that route. However, a huge part of this is that last little part, with minority rights. These two go together. It's a willingness to compromise and do whatever the most people want to do with safeguards in place to protect the minority. That means if all the people in the world who are above, let's say 5'8", got together and said, hey, we think all of us tall people should be able to make twice as much money as small people. Let's take a vote. And the majority of the people are tall, so they were like, oh, yeah, let's do it. Can't do that because there would be minority rights. There are safeguards in place. There are laws that have been established that say, whoa, you can't just do whatever you want if the majority wants it. The majority is not always right. You may go with that, but there are specific rights that are remained or held for the minority of people who did not feel that way or who did not vote that way. And the 5th and final characteristic of a democratic government is rule of law. What does rule of law mean? Maybe you've heard this before, but it's a rule of law. Rule of law. Basically, a rule of law, or the idea rule of law, states that all laws must be fair. You can't create an unjust law. But even more importantly, the government, the people who write the laws, must follow them as well. They are not above the law. They have to follow the laws. If you recall, this was something we did not see when we were talking about the times of divine right theory. The kings and the queens might make laws and say, you all need to do this. But they wouldn't follow those laws. Those laws were just for the peasants and the people who were supposed to serve the king and the queen. In a democratic government, the government also has to follow the laws. That means Donald Trump, Barack Obama, any governor, mayor, senator, House of Representatives member, all of these people have to follow the same laws that you and I do. There's a reason this is all in red, because that's a very important one. Of the 5, that one is probably one of the most important, if not the most important characteristic of a democratic government. All right, guys, I hope you have that all on this sheet. If you had to add a little bit of room, that's totally fine. I understand. Let's see what we got next. All right, guys. Now, first I want to start by saying, how often do I say, all right, guys? My God, you guys have to be getting sick of that. How about, all right, ladies and gentlemen, maybe? How about, hey, y'all, cool cats and kittens? No? All right, I'll work on that. All right, guys, from here on out. So, done with that. Excellent job. Hopefully it made sense. If you have any questions, as always, hit me up on the email. Today, we've got 4 things still left. Oh my gosh, it's been like 13 minutes and we still have 4 things left. 2 of them are pretty easy. It's just you handing in your assignment and your attendance. But instead of doing 2 things, since this class has already run its course, it's kind of long, it's Friday, maybe we should erase one of these 2 things left on our to-do list? Does that sound good? All right. I will let you choose which one. All right? Cheer for the one you want me to erase. Boo for the one you don't want me to erase. Really? So let's just go over this again. You cheer for the one you want me to erase. Meaning if I erase this one, that means we're going to have this one. So do you want me to erase this? All right. Well, I guess you guys wanted a quiz. I'm proud of you. Well done. Good job. You decided to get a quiz in. Boost that grade up. I love it. Go ahead. Get a pencil and a piece of paper out. Tell you what, I'll be fair. I'll only make it a 5-question quiz today. We'll give you, let's give you one bonus question. 5 questions, 1 bonus question. Put your name on your paper. Number it 1 to 5 or 6. 5 with a star. Whatever you want to do. Hit pause if you need to get the supplies. I will meet you at my desk for your weekly review quiz. All right, we are back at the desk, zoomed in, ready for your weekly review quiz. Now, I told you I'd give you a little bit of a preface before we do this. The key things you want to study, if you want to hit the pause button, study for a few minutes and do your own 5-minute review. Democracies, dictatorships, indirect, direct, as well as everything we just talked about today as far as characteristics of democracy. Today's weekly review quiz is really a quiz on democracy. All right? So if you need to, hit the pause button, take a little bit of a break, study up. If you are ready to roll, let's go. Number 1 in your weekly review quiz today is, in a democracy, who has the power? Who has the power in a democracy? Number 2, if I go too fast, feel free to pause again. Number 2, in England, they have a similar structure to the United States as far as a chief executive, a leader of their executive branch. We call our leader the president. What do you call the leader or the chief executive of England or Great Britain? What is their title? Number 3. What type of government usually puts all the power in the hands of one person and doesn't give rights to the people? What type of government? Those leaders are usually pretty bad dudes. Number 4. What does the term popular sovereignty mean? Popular sovereignty. What does popular sovereignty mean? Number 5. Which characteristic of democratic governments says that even the people who make the laws, the president, Congress, kings, queens, also have to follow those laws? Which characteristic says that? What's the name of it? The idea that even the government has to follow the laws that they create. And finally, bonus question 6, the only one you're getting, is in a democracy like the one we have here in the United States, how many votes does a registered citizen have, no matter who they are? Donald Trump, myself. Barack Obama, Mr. Finn. Dr. White, Miss Landy. LeBron James, Peyton Manning. Steph Curry. If they're all registered to vote, how many votes does each person get in a democracy? That is your weekly review quiz, guys, and that will serve as your assignment and attendance question. All right, here's what I want you to do. You're going to take a picture of your answers. Send it in to me right now. I will get it down as your attendance question as well as your assignment for today. I'll get it graded for you. Get it into the grade book. Unless I'm forgetting something, I think we're good. Scratch that. Let's add one more thing. Let's add one more thing to your assignment. We'll say the attendance and your assignment will be the quiz as well as the notes we took today. I want to check and make sure that you have those notes. So 2 things you need to be sending me, all right? The answers to your quiz and the notes we took today on the characteristics of democratic governments. 2 things. Got to send me 2 things, all right? Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. It is the weekend. Freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. We'll see you guys on Tuesday of next week. Take care. Be safe.